Geoff Murphy's The Quiet Earth is a science fiction movie from 1985. At the time, it was the most financially successful New Zealand film. It made its estimated $1 million budget alone in the US twice back, got mixed to positive reviews, and developed over the years quite rightly a cult status. The very interesting movie, at the time one of the first I rented from the video store, is loosely based on Greg Harrison's same-named book from 1981, but also had some other influences. For Dawn of the Dead, see the George R. Romero special.
Talking softly, I turned on the lights, the TV and the radio. Still I can't escape the ghost of you.
In 1959, Ronald McDougall's US end-time movie The World, the Flesh and the Devil, an allusion to the three enemies of a devout Christian, made only $1 million of its $1.6 million budget back and was a flop. It is based on the stories The Purple Cloud from 1901 and The End of the World from the 1930s. A black miner is apparently the only survivor of a global atomic disaster. He eventually meets a white woman who also survived for whatever reason, and later a white man who wants to kill him in the final because of the woman. Some theaters at the time refused a showing because of the portraying of a mixed-race relationship. One screening even had to be cancelled because of riots during the showing. Although this very interesting racial drama uses the end-time scenario only as a backdrop, there is no real explanation for the trio's survival, no corpses in the streets and so on. It has some impressive images of a deserted New York. The thematically similar The Quiet Earth is considered an unofficial remake. In 1964, the US-Italian science fiction movie The Last Man on Earth by Ubaldo Raguna and Sidney Salkov showed up. The plot is based on Richard Matheson's excellent 1954 I Am Legend.
He also wrote the novel Jack Arnold's Incredible Shrinking Man is based on, Cub.
Yes, I know.
And the screenplay for the two Kolchak movies.
Whatever. Very beautifully illustrated in the same named black and white Eclipse comic from 1991. Absolutely worth reading and extremely faithful to the book. In contrast to all film adaptations, which deviate from the original and portray the protagonist as a trained scientist who develops a therapy which he also passes on. In LA of the far future 1976 to 79, a mosquito-borne plague seems to have killed all the people in the world and resurrected them as vampires. Only Robert Neville in the movie Robert Morgan, unlike his wife and daughter, has survived in his fortress-like house, hiding at night and destroying sleeping vampires during the day. He is immune to the plague, which he attributes to a bite of an infected bat in the past, grows a beard and lets himself go, and tries to numb the crushing feeling of loneliness with keeping himself busy by research on the plague, but also with alcohol. One day he meets a young woman who can also walk in the sunlight, thanks to self-developed pills keeping her alive despite infection. She belongs to a new group who call themselves living vampires, in contrast to the dead vampires, which get mercilessly hunted down and killed by them. They are not immune to the plague like Neville, and see in him only a myth that has killed many of their people. The novel ends with his suicide and the titular line, I am legend.
Ours is just a little sorrow talk.
In the relatively faithful and entertaining adaptation, the mirrors, however, are added nonsense. This also applies to the in the original rather fast, but here slow zombie-like vampires, which also quite obviously served as an inspiration for Night of the Living Dead. He heals the woman in the botched film final completely from the plague with a blood transfusion and is subsequently killed by the mob. But the woman knows that now her blood will save the new society. In 1971, Boris Sagal's US science fiction horror cucumber, The Omega Man, showed up. And from my point of view, it has almost nothing to do with the novel. In the 1970s LA, Neville is a scientist who is the only one who could inoculate himself with an anti-serum he co-developed. So most people turned into light-sensitive, aggressive, psychotic mutants who call themselves the Family brutally and aggressively destroying everything that has to do with technology. Although they sometimes use technology themselves, like guns and catapults, as well as trying to kill not yet mutated people, of which there are also some running around because script says so. The boring movie with only trash appeal was also in 1997 the template for the much more entertaining Simpsons Treehouse of Horror 8 segment The Omega Man. 2007 comes with Francis Lawrence' I Am Legend, in my opinion another failure. As a financially successful Hollywood blockbuster whose plot takes place in 2012 in New York after a mutated measles virus has depopulated the earth. In the completely implausible Will Smith show, who is apparently one of many immune people, according to his own statement 12 million, who were mostly eaten by 500 million mutated, and walks around with dog and gun, or works, of course at the end successful, on a cure, with which he wants to turn the so-called Darkseekers, light-sensitive vampire zombie CGI mutants that look awful and cheap as fuck, back into humans. He even runs into other people, so much for the last man on Earth, even with the prospect of meeting other survivors. But he doesn't want to, because script says so. In the original ending he dies like a real hero, Omega Man style, which means of course easy, avoidable and unnecessary in a far-fetched and completely constructed sequence. Obviously written by a 5-year-old. Oh, I see, a script by Akiva Goldsman, aka one of the Dark Track Discovery hacks. I Am Will Smith still manages to pass on the quickly just discovered antidote. What a legend. In the much better alternative ending, he realizes that the Darkseekers represent a new society and do not want to be cured, and that he himself is basically the monster. There is also a comic by Vertigo, I Am Legend Awakening, as a one-shot film tie-in whatsoever, which I don't care for, just like the unimaginative wannabe adaptation itself, which goes also for the unwatchable 2007 Asylum junk I Am Omega, this time with zombies.
What has happened to it all? Crazy summer say, where is the light that I recognize? But I won't cry for yesterday. There's an ordinary world somehow I have to find.
Scientist Zack Hobson wakes up during the story turns out after a suicide and realizes that he seems to be alone in the world. He searches unsuccessfully for other people or living beings in general, and after a few days he shows signs of insanity due to the loneliness. Out of nowhere Joanne shows up. They become soon a couple, and during their search for survivors they came across the Maori Api, to whom Joanne gets attracted. Zack believes that the project he was researching on at the government's lab may have caused the phenomena. He calls it the effect, and decides with the others to blow up the lab to stop the seemingly ongoing experiment. Movie and novel are both very good, but there are huge differences with the story, and I prefer as usual the book. In the highly complex original, Zack meets at first Maori Api, which is the biggest part of the story.
What is happening to me? Crazy some say. Where is my friend when I need you most?
But the two men can't overcome their prejudice, distrust and things from their past. Towards the end they meet Joanne in a tragic car accident. She dies after a short time of her injuries, leading to one man killing the other and then committing suicide, which kind of closes the circle.
And as I try to make my way to the ordinary world, I will learn to survive.
In 1987, the German science fiction TV movie Empty World is based on John Christopher's, see also The Tripods, very interesting same-named novel from 1977. The movie stays most of the time faithful to the source, but is set in Germany instead of England, has less supporting characters and shortens the time period of the events. In the book, 15-year-old Neil, movie named Tom, loses his parents in a car accident and lives with his grandparents in an English coastal village. Abroad, the so-called Calcutta Plague rampant so far, a disease which at first affected mainly older people, aging them rapidly until death, and which apparently now also reached England. Hushed up and censored by the authorities, of course, since they want to avoid a panic, which is, by the way, the government's method to deal with such a situation within nearly all books or movies. disease, since most of the authors do not want to make a fool of themselves by pretending governments work for and not against the people. Adults who really believe that are generally referred to as simpletons or retards. Nowadays very easy to detect by their face diaper, aka slave mask, which they put on voluntarily. Real catastrophes are normally talked down, as here in the story, in order to pretend control and to preserve the public order. Already seen in reality, for example, with the many hushed up nuclear power plant incidents, while false disasters, alleged attacks or plandemics are reported on 24/7. In order to get rid of democratically won rights, to conceal false flag actions, or to generally follow small or large plans of the deep state, like the one humanity is experiencing with the corona fraud right now. To give people a wrong sense of security, in the story there is even a false vaccine, just like with our criminals, which in the story turns out to be only a sedative. Sadly, our vaccines make people actively ill or even kill them directly, in a much greater extent than the alleged COVID disease, which hasn't killed anyone yet, since there is still no scientific proof of its existence to this day. In the story, at first, only older people are killed by the disease, but over the time victims become younger. After his grandparents and most of the people in the village die, Neil goes to the deserted London to look for survivors. He meets Lucy and Billy in the movie Helen and Kiki and falls in love with Lucy. The extremely jealous Billy tries to end this love and doesn't even shy away from murder. In the book, which is much more detailed, Neil has to make a decision at the end. In the movie, Billy simply dies of the plague.